Hello and welcome to Euro Football Daily, where today we're looking at 10 incredible pros who pulled triumph from the clutches of tragedy. 10. Luis Suarez. The Uruguayan icon may have started his career with Nacional in Montevideo, but he was actually 300 miles away in Salto, where he spent his formative years playing barefoot on the cobbled streets. It was only when his father became unemployed did the family relocate to the capital, where 9-year-old Suarez excelled for youth side Ureta. However, the family was torn apart shortly after when his dad, Rodolfo, abandoned them, leaving behind 12-year-old Suarez and his 6 siblings. Suarez's knack for goal scoring soon aroused the interest of Nacional, but he became distracted, hanging around with the people he's since called a bad influence. We can only assume he meant vampires. However, El Pistolero has since said his poor attitude changed when he met his future wife Sofia at the tender age of 15. And with both his confidence and focus galvanised, he broke into the senior side, scoring 12 goals in his first season, including an overhead kick on his debut. The rest, as they say, is history. 9. Saido Berahino. In 2003, Saido Berahino and his mother Liliane fled civil war in Burundi, becoming separated on their journey to England. One day he was in Bujumbura, kicking makeshift footballs about with his friends. The next he was scared and alone, waiting for DNA results to reunite him with the only family he had. 6 years prior, his father had been killed as part of the mass genocide between the Hutus and the Tutsis, and he since admitted he refrains from asking his mother about it because he fears the memories are still too painful. Ultimately, it was football that helped this young refugee become assimilated in his new home, joining West Brom at the age of 11 and turning pro 7 years later. Now an established Premier League star, having represented England at every youth level, the boy from Burundi looks destined for a career at the top. 8. Riyad Mahrez. Premier League winner, PFA and African Player of the Year, 2016 was the unlikeliest of fairy tales for a man from Sarcelles. Home to politically fueled riots, warring drug dealers and chronic unemployment, the Parisian suburb is an unforgiving environment for any youth. Mix in personal tragedy, as was the case with Mahrez when his father died, and it's a wonder he didn't succumb to the temptations around him. Instead of letting it consume him, he used it as motivation. Ignoring accusations from coaches that he was too skinny, he eventually propelled himself to Ligue 2 with Le Havre, ignoring advances from QPR and PSG to further his football education. More recently, his journey from France's second tier has taken him to a surprise 7th place finish at the Ballon d'Or. Can he better that in the future, guys? Let us know in the comments below. 7. Steven Pienaar. The former Tottenham midfielder grew up during South Africa's apartheid era in Westbury on the fringes of Johannesburg, a township which the media describe as a death zone where the devil is busy. Pienaar has since recalled from being banned by his mother from watching television on the sofa as she feared a stray bullet would crash through the window, mortally wounding her son. Subsequently, he was restricted to the floor. Pienaar also encountered racism on a daily basis. One example he's since recounted tells of a shopkeeper firing metal ball bearings at him and his friends to discourage them from using local amenities. In reality, the situation was grim, and soon after Pienaar joined Ajax from Cape Town in 2001, a close friend of his was lost in the mayhem. Apartheid was eventually lifted in 1994, and 20 years on, Pienaar has carved himself an extremely respectable Premier League career. 6. Alexis Sanchez. The barrel-chested gooner hails from the industrial quagmire of Tocopilla, a shanty seaside town whose imposing mountains isolate it from the rest of the world. Abandoned by his father as a toddler, Sanchez's mother had to make ends meet by taking several jobs. And Alexis too was enlisted to aid the family income, washing cars before moving 100 miles away, age 16, to play in Kalama. Sanchez knew if he didn't seize the opportunity, a career in the local mine awaited for him. But with his friendly disposition and obsessive work rate, he quickly outgrew his £45 a month junior contract. Even now, as one of the world's elite players, Alexis still honours his humble beginnings. With its mere 25,000 inhabitants, Tocopilla was subject to a devastating earthquake in 2007, and Sanchez enlisted the likes of Lionel Messi to help raise awareness and funds. He also returns each Christmas to sign footballs for the town's youngsters. What a guy. 5. Carlos Tevez. Carlos Tevez grew up in the infamous surroundings of Fuerte Apache, a troubled neighbourhood just outside of Buenos Aires. From walking past slaying gang members on the way to school, to dribbling a makeshift football between piles of shattered glass, and broken needles, Tevez's childhood was an extreme one, shaped by crime and depravity. Even as an infant, Tevez found himself in intensive care after boiling water left him with a scar that he still proudly bears today. And when Boca Juniors offered to pay for plastic surgery, he refused, telling people, "Take me as I am or don't take me at all." After a trophy-laden career in Europe, he's since returned to his hometown club, still at the top of his game, leading them to the Primera Division in 2015. 4. Juan Cuadrado. The city of Necali is perched on the northern coast of Colombia, and from the outside looking in, it resembles a paradise. However, over the last few decades, it has seen unspeakable violence, and even the city's most famous son, Juan Cuadrado, hasn't been exempt from it. Aged just 4, he was told to take cover under the dining room table as gunfire tore through the home, and when he finally crawled out, he found his mother clutching her dead husband. The struggle between right-wing paramilitary death squads, drug cartels, and the army meant Necali was straddled between a war zone. When his family left chasing work, they ended up in a banana factory, and Juan was duly enlisted, cleaning floors, packing bananas, and plastering blue stickers on fruit. But Shorty, as he became known, was determined to become a footballer, inspired by his icon, Brazilian Ronaldo. He first joined local side Aruba before turning out for Deportivo Independiente Medellin, and after just 1 year in the Colombian top flight, Udinese came calling, and Juan's love affair with Italian football, albeit rocky at the start, truly began. 3. Luka Modric. Given Modric's sunny disposition, you can be forgiven for thinking he had a fairly normal upbringing. However, it was anything but. Modric was 5 when the Croatian War of Independence broke out, and his grandfather, of who he was named after, was one of the 7,000 civilians who were killed or went missing. As a result of the occupation, the future midfield metronome was forced to live temporarily in a refugee camp, and with little else to do, he spent hours kicking a ball against a car park wall. Growing up, not only was he rejected by his beloved Hajduk Split, but part of his football education at NK Zadar involved regularly taking cover from grenades and mortar fire. Football was his escape from reality, but even on the pitch, the danger was inescapable. Now, after years of hard knocks, he's pulling the strings in a record-breaking Real Madrid side. The little midfielder has one hell of a big heart. 2. Victor Moses. Now an invaluable cog in Antonio Conte's 3-4-3 at Chelsea, Victor Moses' rise to the top has been anything but simple. At age 11, Victor was playing football in the streets of Lagos when his parents were both murdered in the family home. His father was a pastor, and racial tension between Christians and the native Muslim population was understood to be the motive. Following the deaths, his uncle hid him for a week before sending him to England. He was adopted by a foster family in Croydon and quickly set about pursuing a career in football, lighting up the local youth leagues. One of his old coaches, Colin Pace, said of this period, "I've been here 20 years and I've never seen the likes before or since." But despite his raw talent, his rise was far from meteoric, and after Chelsea bought him from Wigan, he was sent out into the lone wilderness with Liverpool, West Ham and Stoke. But once Italian Conte was installed, he became part of the Chelsea side, who went on a club record unbeaten streak at the start of the 16-17 season, rousing the interest of Barcelona. 1. Jakub Blaszczykowski. Our final entry is about a man who overcame an act of pure evil, channeling his subsequent grief into a relentless pursuit of football glory. It is of course the one and only Jakub Blaszczykowski. Born in the Silesian village of Truskalazi, Kuba was a keen footballer in his formative years, turning out for local club Rakow. But tragedy struck age 11 as he helplessly watched his father stab his mother to death. Such was the horror of what he saw, he reportedly didn't leave his bed for 5 days. Struggling to deal with the horrific events, it's said that Blaszczykowski nearly quit football, but was dissuaded by his uncle Jerzy, who secured him a trial for Wisla Krakow. After missing out on 2 international tournaments owing to injury, he finally led his country out of the Euros in his homeland back in 2012. Never has a man been more deserved of such a momentous occasion. The tenacity, steely determination and iron will of Kuba has consistently brought him back from the brink. These men truly are a credit to the beautiful game. So guys, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this then why not stick on Stat Wars, and as ever, don't forget to like and subscribe.